They called it the Winged Warrior, a beast of American engineering that struck fear into the hearts of every competitor who saw it in their rearview mirror. The year was 1970, and Dodge had just unleashed something that would make NASCAR tremble. Before the rulebooks changed, before the bans and the controversies, before the world of racing would never be the same, one car dared to push beyond what anyone thought possible. This is the untold story of the machine that didn't just break records, it shattered them so completely that NASCAR had no option but to ban it. But to truly understand this remarkable story, we need to start at the beginning. In 1953, Dodge entered the world of NASCAR with high hopes and even higher ambitions. The company made an immediate impact when Lee Petty, driving a Dodge Coronet, claimed victory at Palm Beach Speedway. It was a sign of things to come as Petty went on to secure the championship title the following year. In those early days, NASCAR was a different world. 9 manufacturers competed in the first strictly stock race at Charlotte Fairgrounds Speedway, including names that might surprise modern fans: Lincoln, Hudson, Oldsmobile, Buick, Chrysler, Kaiser, Mercury, and even Cadillac. Even Jeepster convertibles were allowed to race, though regular Jeeps were banned. It was in this diverse and competitive environment that Dodge began building its racing legacy. However, in 1964, that Dodge truly showed its hand. The company unveiled something that would change the face of racing forever: the mighty 426 Hemi engine. This wasn't just another engine. It was a masterpiece of engineering that combined compact design with raw, unfiltered power. The results were staggering. Dodge and Plymouth cars, both equipped with the Hemi, dominated the circuit, claiming victory in 26 out of 61 races that season. The Hemi's design was revolutionary, featuring hemispherical combustion chambers that had been perfected since their introduction in 1951. This engine was so versatile that even marine versions were popular in boats during the 1950s and 1960s. The Hemi's success on the track was undeniable. Such extraordinary performance that it won 41% of all stock car races in the 1964 season. But all this success came at a price. NASCAR officials began to worry. The dominance of the Hemi engine was so complete that it threatened to undermine the very essence of NASCAR racing competition. NASCAR officials watched with growing concern as Hemi-powered cars consistently outperformed their rivals. The issue wasn't just about winning, it was about the predictability of those wins. The sport thrived on uncertainty, on the possibility that any driver in any car could claim victory on race day. But the Hemi was changing that narrative. Critics began to voice concerns about the engine's limited availability to the public, arguing that its high cost made it inaccessible to the average consumer. This went against NASCAR's stock racing principles, which were rooted in the idea of racing production cars. The stage was set for a confrontation that would reshape the sport's future. But Dodge wasn't done. Far from it. The company went back to the drawing board in 1969. They unveiled what would become their masterpiece: the Dodge Daytona. This was a purpose-built racing machine that would redefine what was possible on a NASCAR track. The Daytona featured innovations that seemed to come from the future. A massive rear stabilizer wing that looked more appropriate for an aircraft, fender-mounted cooling scoops for enhanced brake performance, and a sheet metal cowl over the front grille that sliced through air with unprecedented efficiency. Engineers had spent countless hours in wind tunnels perfecting every curve and angle. Only 503 units were ever produced, making it one of the rarest and most sought-after muscle cars in history. Each element was carefully calculated to serve a single purpose: pure, unadulterated speed. The results were immediate and spectacular. In its debut race at the Talladega 500, it didn't just compete, it dominated. But that was just the beginning. On that fateful day in March 1970, Buddy Baker strapped himself into the Daytona with a mission that seemed impossible: break the 200-mile-per-hour barrier. The tension at Talladega was palpable as Baker pushed the car to its limits during a tire test. When the speedometer clicked past 200 miles per hour, hitting 200.447 miles per hour, history was made. The mythical barrier had been broken, and the automotive world would never be the same. This wasn't just about setting a speed record. It was about pushing past what many thought was impossible. The Daytona went on to prove this wasn't a fluke, winning 6 more races. It was a moment of triumph for Dodge, but also the beginning of the end. Race after race, the car's unique aerodynamic features stood out, particularly that towering rear wing that earned it the nickname Winged Warrior. The sister car, Plymouth's Superbird, added to the dynasty by securing 8 victories in 1970 alone. This level of dominance created a problem for NASCAR officials. The sport's popularity relied on close competition, on the thrill of not knowing who might win on any given Sunday. But when the Winged Warriors took to the track, that essential unpredictability began to disappear. Bobby Isaac's performance in the Daytona was particularly stunning, racking up 11 wins in 1970 and capturing the championship. The combination of advanced aerodynamics and raw power had created a machine that was simply operating on a different level from its competitors. Something had to give. The response came in the form of new regulations. NASCAR implemented rules that effectively banned cars with certain aerodynamic features, most notably the massive rear wing, which had become the signature feature of these aero cars. But the changes went deeper, restricting engine sizes to no more than 305 cubic inches in these specialized vehicles. These regulations weren't just about the Dodge Daytona. They affected the Plymouth Superbird and similar high-performance vehicles from other manufacturers. The new rules represented a fundamental shift in NASCAR's approach to innovation. A clear statement that while advancement was welcome, it needed to stay within bounds that preserved competitive balance and driver safety. For Dodge, it was a bittersweet moment. Their engineering triumph had been so complete that it forced the entire sport to rewrite its rulebook. They had, in essence, won too thoroughly for their own good. But Dodge wasn't about to let their masterpiece fade into obscurity. Racing legends Bobby Isaac and Harry Hyde had a different venue in mind for showcasing the car's true potential: the Bonneville Salt Flats. In 1971, far from NASCAR's restrictions, they brought the Dodge Daytona to the pristine white expanse of Bonneville. What followed was nothing short of extraordinary. Free from the constraints of NASCAR regulations, Isaac and Hyde unleashed the full potential of their machines, setting an astounding 28 land speed records. Among these achievements was a flying mile at over 216 miles per hour, a speed that seemed almost impossible for a stock car of that era. This incredible performance proved what many had suspected. The Dodge Daytona's capabilities extended far beyond what NASCAR had been willing to allow on their tracks. After a 22-year absence, Dodge made a triumphant return to NASCAR in 2001, marking a new chapter in their racing history. The comeback was spearheaded by Ray Evernham, the legendary crew chief who guided Jeff Gordon to numerous victories. Evernham's decision to leave Hendrick Motorsports and lead Dodge's return sent shockwaves through the racing world. Success came quickly. Evernham Motorsports claimed their first victory for Dodge at Michigan International Speedway that same year. The momentum continued to build as prestigious teams like Chip Ganassi, Bill Davis, Melling, and Petty Enterprises switched to Dodge. The crowning achievement came when Team Penske, bringing star drivers like Ryan Newman and Kurt Busch, abandoned Ford for Dodge. The future seemed incredibly bright. with budding stars like Casey Kane joining the roster that already included Jeremy Mayfield. This new era promised to recapture the glory days of Dodge's past, but with modern technology and a new generation of talented drivers leading the charge. Despite the promising restart, Dodge's modern NASCAR story would prove to be as dramatic as its past. Internal turmoil began to surface when driver Jeremy Mayfield's 2006 season turned disastrous, barely finishing in the top 35. The situation escalated when Mayfield blamed team leader Ray Everham for being distracted by his relationship with female driver Aaron Crocker. The controversy peaked at the Brickyard race at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, where Mayfield crashed his car, leading to his dismissal from the team. External pressures mounted as well. Chrysler posted a staggering $1.5 billion loss in 2006. Leading to Daimler selling off the Chrysler Group. The Great Recession and Chrysler's bankruptcy filing delivered further blows. Even Brad Keselowski's impressive 2012 NASCAR Cup Series championship in a Dodge couldn't prevent the inevitable. When Penske Racing announced their switch back to Ford for the 2013 season, it marked the end of Dodge's latest NASCAR chapter. However, the legend of the Dodge Daytona continues to grow. With only 503 units ever produced, these remarkable machines have become some of the most sought-after collector cars in the world. Each surviving example commands prices exceeding $150,000. The Daytona's impact on automotive history extends far beyond its brief but spectacular racing career. Its aerodynamic innovations, particularly the iconic rear wing and nose cone, influenced racing design for decades to come. Dodge paid tribute to this legacy with their 2020 Dodge Charger Daytona wide-body muscle car, a modern interpretation that carried a price tag over $110,000. These special edition vehicles, as rare as their 1969 predecessors, demonstrate how the spirit of innovation that created the original Daytona continues to inspire automotive design. The car's story has become a cornerstone of NASCAR history, representing a moment when engineering excellence pushed beyond the boundaries of what the sport was ready to accept. If you want to discover more incredible tales of speed, innovation, and racing glory, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell. And if the Dodge Daytona were allowed to race today with modern safety features, how fast do you think it would go? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and help more racing fans discover this incredible tale on Track Reaction, your source for all the stories on and off the track.